Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll just do a brief introduction, then talk about an overview of the year. Lucy will then take you through a financial review. We'll then talk about how we get to our next big milestone of 100 million, and then summarize and talk about the outlook. So the market, we've used this phrase before, but there is a personalized marketing revolution going on globally. It's a huge market. It's estimated to be some 10 billion and projected to reach 22 billion by 2028. And what I'll talk about a bit is why what on the face of it may sound slightly unbelievable growth could actually be believable. Looking at us, we execute 850 million personalized offers a week, and we have 500 million wallets under management. Those are of a scale that no one else in the world is achieving in terms of numbers, speed, security, stability, and ability to cope with further expansion. And we do it for very famous logos. I mean, they're probably globally quite famous, but in their countries, many of these represent the preeminent loyalty scheme in their market, and we're sitting behind it and powering it. Just to step back a moment and think about how retailers create value and communicate value. The starting point is the shelf price, and they will make investments in their price list every year. Over and above that, very significantly, they have what are called temporary price reductions. These are promotion ends, pallets in the doorway, and things that the retailers do to drive visits and drive the sale of an extra product, supported by on-shelf point of sale, a weekly ad, etc. And it performs on a weekly and a monthly cycle. Some retailers, then not all, but an increasing number, then have a loyalty program available to everybody, maybe plastic, ideally digital, moving digital, because digitally connected customers are more valuable. That is pretty mass. You earn a point from the amount you spend. So the more you spend, the more you get. Some people have tiering within it, but generally it's a universal offering. From that loyalty data, you're then starting to be able to use personalization science as offered by EagleAI, but also many other people, which starts to look at that loyalty data and say, okay, now that I know that it's Lucy Sharman-Munday who's buying these things, what is the next best promotion? What is the next best offer? What is the next best communication for her? There then are personalization tactics, engagement tactics, which we run, whether they are personalized promotions, gamified promotions, supplier-funded promotions, message at till when you check out, subscriptions, games, or partnerships where you can earn and burn points around a coalition of partners. So that is the move from mass or the architecture from mass to personalized. Now, at the moment, about 30% of the investment is in pricing, about half is in promotions, about 15% in loyalty, and just 5% in personalized offers. What BCG, amongst others, are saying is if you could redirect 25% of your mass promotion spend to personalized offers, you would increase your return on investment by 200%. So a very, very major claim for the profitability driven by personalization. So if you look at the future state, what you can see is a significant expansion in the market for personalized offers and personalization through loyalty. That, I think, is why the market size figure at the beginning is growing so substantially. And it works in two ways. People who are already doing personalized offers are seeking to do more of them. And we see that with our clients. Our clients, I think many of them are leaders in the space of personalization, but they're not stopping there. They're looking at new ways of personalizing, whether it's Tesco doing challenges, whether it's Morrison's doing more card offers, whether it's John Lewis doing reintroducing Never Knowingly Unsold. And sitting behind these marketing initiatives is EagleAI Technology. So the people who've already got it are doing more of it. And of course, the improvement in profitability that those people are enjoying means that other people have got to join in. So I think that's why the market is projected to grow so substantially, because new people will come into the market and the people that are in the market will do more of it. And, a move from 20% of promotional monies being, in some sense, personalized to 50% of it is literally billions of dollars, pounds, or euros for any one major retailer, let alone across the market. It's a very, very big shift. We've had a good year. We've won all around the world, and we've expanded with existing customers. Our revenue is up by 11%. Our ARR up by more, which we're pleased about, 19% in Q4. We're particularly pleased by our improvement in EBITDA, 28%, markedly higher than in original expectations. But we've always said that we'll be seeking to balance EBITDA and growth. And if growth is a bit lower, we'll push EBITDA harder. If there is more opportunity for growth, we'll be investing in that growth and managing the EBITDA. So we're managing the two in tandem. EagleAI had a very strong end to the year, a strong half two, and the win of Tesco was absolutely stellar for those guys. The adoption by Morrisons of challenges, in addition to the air work that we were doing, was a great and quick move forward. We've announced the work that we're doing with Leclerc to do a personalised flyer. That's a very big step forward. I'll come back to that. And we have a roadmap of very interesting new offerings with some beta work going on in those. I'll talk to you about that later. This year has been all about building the pipeline. We've managed to double it in size and to enhance and improve our sales process. And also to get ourselves ready to focus and work with partners and systems integrators, which has involved the packaging of our products. So there's been a lot of work going on in that area to focus on winning faster. And I'll talk to you a bit about that later on. Now, Lucy's going to take you through the numbers.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take you through the financial section for the year FY24. So as Tim said, we've had a good year. The revenue growth was in double digits, albeit a little bit lighter than where we would have liked it to be. We're really encouraged by the ARR growth of 19% and the momentum that we saw at the back end of the year, together with the adjusted EBITDA margin of 24%, illustrating a significant move forward from last year. If we take a moment to talk about the ARR, it's grown year on year. You can see that on the graph on the left-hand side. The growth of 19% in this period was very much dominated by the impact of both the Tesco's contract and the Morrisons deal, together with the new logos that we brought on during the year. I mentioned earlier the momentum that we saw in the last quarter, but also what we saw post-period and some nice, interesting new logos, Central Vietnam, a new geography for us, Rona in Canada, a DIY store, again, a new sector for us, which is quite interesting. Waterstones, you'll all know and be aware of in the UK, and a fuel client in New Zealand that's doing some pretty innovative stuff around loyalty. And we're now beginning to build a nice portfolio of fuel cases. Leclerc signed both a renewal of their contract, but importantly signed for a new product, the digital flyer, and Tim will take you through that use case later on. So we're encouraged by both the ARR growth, and just as a reminder, we recognise ARR on its lowest level initially as it comes in. So these contracts that we won at the back end of the year either will have no revenue in them if they're post-period end in this figure, or very low revenue if they haven't started transacting. So there's more to come in terms of growth in this period ahead for all these logos. So talking about the customer strategy, we continue to deliver on win, transact and deepen. I've talked about the ARR impact, but those new clients join the ones that we announced at the half year. So Patterson Foods Group, a big pet company in the US, Endeavour Group in Australia, and also a formerly unannounced now EagleAI signed with Picard and Chrono Drive. So some nice, good new logos all around the world. Transactions continue to grow and significantly influenced by these new big enterprise clients that we've got, Asda, Woolworths and Morrisons all having an influence in the volumes. Our deepen continues to be an important part of our strategy. Our NRR number was 109 in the period. So I've always given an indication that we aim to be about 120. And we were influenced this year by the loss of the UK client that we talked about previously, that we lost September last year. On a normalized level, the NRR would be at 117, so at the levels that we would expect to be. Just picking up out a few of these as examples. Interestingly, Woolworths expanded during the second half of the year into New Zealand. Morrisons, which we signed on the last day of the year for FY23, both went live in the period for loyalty, but also added EagleAI into the portfolio within the first 6 months of engagement. Mitchells and Butler, which has been a client since the beginning pretty much, they signed for employee rewards. So whether you're a new client or you're an old client, there is always opportunities to grow within the portfolio that EagleAI offers, which is really exciting. So just taking a moment to look at the revenue analysis, we can see here the growth in the implementation fees. Clearly, that is going to lead to transactional activity going forward. That UK growth are impacting the sort of the growth of the license and the transaction fees. So we expect those to tick up again in future periods. SMS, which we announced at the half year, we're expecting to reduce as a result of the major client behind that switching off for a more cost-effective mechanic to communicate to customers. And EagleAI represents now the full year of services for them. Importantly, with EagleAI, as we look forward, the wins that we've seen at the back end of the year, I'm expecting on a normalized level now that line to grow well in the period ahead, growing at least 40 to 50% if they do nothing else, which I'm expecting them to add more logos as well. So good visibility and growth coming in the year ahead. I haven't shown you this view before. So my starting point is we continue to be focused on our grocery clients. We deliver for some of the best customers all around the world, and we generate the majority of our revenue from this customer base. So 76% of our recurring revenue is coming from these clients. So the big contracts are where we're seen as best in class around the world. But interestingly, 24% of our revenue is coming from non-grocery clients that split into quite a few sectors. And behind each of those logos, there are many different reference cases that we've got growing both domestically, but also internationally, giving us a good use case to develop further. So just as an example of that, food and beverage, we've got a rich number of food and beverage clients in the UK. It's really how the UK business started. Fashion, JD Sports is a great example in the UK. Department stores, Hudson's Bay in Canada, John Lewis, providing the loyalty program for them. IMO in services, etc., etc. So what we're demonstrating here is that we're not just a company that provides for grocery, but we also have a very nice portfolio of clients in the non-grocery sector. And this is going to become more relevant as the presentation comes on and Tim talks to you about actually now what we're doing around packaging and making it easier to sell, particularly for this sector. So taking a look at the income statement, we've moved our gross profit forward, gross margin percentage through a couple of percentage points as a result of the mix of products. So less SMS is driving a stronger rate there. Our net operating costs have grown at 9%, a lower growth rate than the gross profit growth of 13%. A big contributor to the growth in costs has been the annualization of the EagleAI costs, so 12 months rather than 6 months in the prior period. But also when we're looking down the cost lines, infrastructure costs has gone up by 19%, so a little more than what we've seen in previous periods. On top of the EagleAI impact, we had a GCP credit which we received in 23 as a one-off for signing a long-term contract. And also we continue to invest in security, which is increasingly important for any SaaS business to make sure that they're covered and protected in this area. We continue to invest in the product. It represents about 15% of our revenue. It has grown in the period by 9%, and we capitalized in this period 30% of our costs. We've managed the cost base, particularly in the area of admin, legal and travel, where we can manage those elements particularly. And all those things have driven this improved EBITDA margin of 24%. And underneath the bonnet, the EagleAI business has overperformed compared to that, as the EagleAI business is growing through its growth. But I'm particularly encouraged by the exit run rate of the EBITDA for EagleAI, and I'm expecting that to continue to grow in future periods. Looking down the P&L, our EPS has grown. Particularly notable in the period is the recognition of the net tax asset in relation to the UK. So we now sit with roughly an 8.5 million asset on the balance sheet that we'll be able to use in future periods. And there may be a little bit more of asset to recognise in future periods. So a good EPS at the end of the year. I hope you guys recognise when we talk to you that we're always looking at ways and how we can improve and move the business on, particularly looking for sort of reference points and benchmarks. So what we've done in this period is started to look at sort of the direct profitability of the business when looking at the items that are specifically related to the revenue. Because at the moment, in terms of what we recognise in cost of sales, is pretty much carrier cost for SMS. So this now reflects a more normalised view of gross margin, which we know in terms of good quality SaaS businesses, the range of margin is somewhere between 70 and 90%. So taking all these factors in, where do we get to? We get to a direct profit of 73%. Under the bonnet, we are looking at what that looks like in terms of the different geographies that we operate in. And we know, because of the maturity of some of the data centers and the number of customers that they're supporting, that the newer, less mature markets are not as profitable at this level as the more mature ones. So there is significant operational leverage to come as we add more clients in. We're not expecting a direct increase in those costs. So I just wanted to give you a flavour. It's something that we're looking at. We continue to strive to improve our margin to allow us to continue to invest back into the business for growth, but also to keep nudging up our profitability as well. So more to report on that as we go in future periods, but something to look out for from an operational leverage perspective. So our cash, we ended the year in 10.4 million. We had a net cash inflow, although it wasn't as big as what it was last year. We were impacted by one-off impacts in the period. So the bonus that related to FY23, the incremental difference compared to prior periods was 1.4 million that got paid in FY24. The GCP cash credit I referred to earlier on that we clearly only got a benefit of in 23, that accounts for 0.7 million. And now in terms of cash in relation to tax, key difference in relation to R&D, because in the UK now we're not getting that as cash, it's going through the tax comp instead. And also there was a timing of R&D tax coming in for France as well. So that accounts for 1.2 million and a slightly higher increase in capitalized cost of 1.6. So if you look at the cash, we've been growing it year on year. We're ending the year in a good place. The other point to note to you is that we've got a facility with HSBC that expires in November. We're well underway with negotiations with them. I'm hoping that I can come back to you during the next couple of months with what that new facility looks like, but we're working on a more cost-effective facility with more flexibility that's going to add to the cash that we've got to give us more optionality going forward. So more on that to come this year. So to summarise, I'm really encouraged by the ARR growth and the particular momentum that we saw at the back end of the year, and that clearly is going to flow through to revenue in future periods. Just to take a step back, and what does that mean in terms of expectations versus the market? Our starting point of where we ended up in FY24 will come back a bit as a result of the SMS falling off. But the impact of the ARR that we've added, both in terms of this year, but also last year, we expect that to add at least 6 to 7 million on the top line, which leaves us with a new business roughly of 3 to 4 million that we've got to deliver this year to hit our city expectations. That's in line with the level of new business that we've been delivering over the last couple of years. And hopefully when you get to Tim's section, you can see the focus on us making that as big as possible in terms of future growth. We continue to run the business in an efficient manner. I hope you get the vibe that that's the focus of us, to make sure that we can continue to improve our margin. But it's important to focus that we are continuing to invest, and we have been investing in Win in this period, and we'll give you some illustrations of that in this next section. Our increase in focus on operational leverage and cash generation means that we've got optionality in terms of thinking about investment, and also M&A in terms of should those opportunities arise during the year. So hopefully that gives you some comfort about the strong financial foundation we've got to continue to build on this journey going forward. So I'll hand over to Tim to talk about the next milestone of 100 million.
Thanks very much, Lucy. So I think the first thing to say is that, with the exception of the UK, where we've sort of got the 23% penetration or ICP, so still plenty to go through, our penetration is very low. So, relatively small steps forward can make a significant difference to the EagleAI business. But I think one should also be encouraged by the consistent improvement that we've been able to generate in the UK business as we, just through process of time, win more people to our platform. We're going to talk about 4 things in this presentation: what we're doing on selling to win more, how we think partnerships can help, what we've done around product packaging, and then talk a bit about EagleAI in particular and some innovation. And then we'll talk finally at the end about some changes we've made with our people to help in this activity. We need to invest more in winning. And so we've been doing that in the year, and we will continue. It's a work in progress, and it's always increasing. And the more we win, the more we spend. We've always said we will spend more in this area, but we have to do it on the basis of what we unlock by winning new business. We've attended a lot more trade shows than we ever have done before, and they are proving to be a significant source of new business opportunities. To assist in that, we now have a sales development function which is all over the world. Previously, certainly in the developing markets, we have had a situation where win people and account management people are the same thing. So you look after some existing accounts and you're responsible for winning new business. The trouble is the existing accounts soak up all that capacity. So what we've done now, we've reached the scale we can split that, and we can have people in every market who are focused purely on win. To improve their effectiveness, we have allied technical win through sales engineers to the commercial win people. So for every 2 commercial win people, we've allocated 1 technical person, which means that all key meetings, our salespeople will have technical support to enable them to get to the right product, the right solution, so the what is absolutely crystal clear as we move forward through the selling process. We've changed our account management a bit. There are 2 elements of account management. One is the commercials of it, that it's doing well and that you're deepening the account. The other is that the account is being well run, they're making full use of the system, they're enjoying the system and the benefits of the system. Again, that has been merged as an activity in the past, and what we've done is we've split it. So we've now introduced the function of customer success, which you'll have heard of from other businesses. This is just an evolution for us as we scale. and then fewer people, but the more experienced and more qualified people concentrating on commercial. So a lot of effort there to create more resource that can focus on win. What we've then done is we've introduced what is called the MEDPIC methodology into that, which is a proven process used by SaaS businesses. I think the important word in that is it's a process. So you have to identify who your economic buyer is. You have to identify who your champion is. You have to know the approval process. You have to know the paper process and how long it will take. These are all what you need to do to drive prospects through the pipeline with surety. So we've trained all our salespeople on MEDPIC in the last year or so. Training continues across the business, and we're using and driving this technique to mean that we can convert more of the pipeline faster and more effectively. Moving on to partnerships. We've had a good run with Google. We're a Google Marketplace partner. They like us a lot. You know, although we're not one of the biggest, we are one of their top tech partners. They involve us in interesting things. They introduce us to interesting people. It's gone extremely well. As I've said to you before, I think the reason why they like us so much is we provide the data movement and generate the data which enables their AI tools to function. That's why they, there's no point in having AI that can create all these clever next best messages if you then can't get that message to the consumer. And we're in the business of getting the right message to the consumer. So that has gone well, and they've helped us with Central, they've helped us with Waterstones, and they are helping us with many other people in the pipeline. The second element is about technology partners. We are what is called a MAC business, which means microservices, API-driven, composable, and headless. Those are what modern SaaS businesses should be. And basically what it means is it's very easy to plug various businesses together to solve your business problem. What clients seem to be wanting is pre-established connections. The fact that we know Bloomreach or we know Commerce Tools, we have a connection with them, that seems to make a difference in the winning process. Many businesses are doing this, and they're generating a significant percentage of their new annual ARR through partnerships. So there's a commercial arrangement within the partnership, and there's an extension of co-marketing, so joint go-to-market strategies. I think that can be quite a significant new business driver for us. And actually, we're having some really potentially very interesting conversations with one or two quite significant potential partners. Then finally, systems integrators. As yet, although we've worked with systems integrators, as you know, we have our own delivery resource and professional services resource, and we do that stuff ourselves. In order to be able to scale and in order to be able to make it work in more places faster, it will help us if we have systems integrators who are also doing that on our behalf. So we're talking to many systems integrators, and we will select a few and go into partnership with them and become either their chosen loyalty provider and personalized promotions provider, or one of a couple that they work with. Now, in order to work with a broader cross-section of people who inevitably know our product a bit less well than we do, what we've had to do is to more clearly package our product. If you look at bubble 1, 2, and 3, and then all the additional purple modules underneath it, that is the EagleAI platform. And traditionally what we've done is we've taken that bundled capability in to a prospect, and we've said we can do anything. Now, if they're very sophisticated and know what they want, that's brilliant. And, when they kick the tires, they do prove that we can do more than anybody else, and that's why we win the business. If they're not so sophisticated, they become a bit like a rabbit in the headlights and go, oh, blimey, anything, oh, what am I going to do? So what we've found is by packaging it up like this, so you buy a core product, you then would probably buy cloud-based adjudication on that, because that's what does the real-time lookup and changing of the totals, allocating of the points, subtracting of the points or the money. That's where that is done in real time as you go through the cash register, which is being used by 3 of the UK's largest grocers all at the same time at the moment, and it's powering many of their new initiatives, like the John Lewis Never Knowingly Undersold new initiative, like the Morrison's More Card Offers initiatives. In the background, these lead of the spear marketing initiatives are actually being driven by EagleAI technologies. And then finally, you have personalized challenges on the right, which has always been a standalone vertical use case. In addition to that, we then have the opportunity to talk about and sell personalization sciences and the products that spin off that. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So we've got new sales and marketing collateral. The website's been redesigned. The Air dashboard has been redesigned and restructured to make the UX more user-friendly. And we've aligned to these core products delivery packages, which are pre-costed, modularized, which just makes it much easier to sell. Clients know exactly what they're getting. The salesperson knows exactly what they're selling. And we believe that this will enable us to win more faster. And then finally, talking about EagleAI. So in 2017, they launched Challenges. And that has rolled out progressively to more retailers in more places. In 2024, they took the algorithms and they started applying them not only to challenges, continuity promotions over a time period, but one-off special offers, personalised promotions. And we're working that use case up with Patterson Food Group, Save On Foods on the west coast of Canada. They also are developing an AI audience builder. Clearly, many of our clients have a significant profit center in their media businesses. And one of the things that they need to do is they need to have a way of generating audiences that they can sell to people who want to advertise. What we are doing is we are offering them a more sophisticated way of building audiences. So rather than saying what I want to do is I want to market to mothers with 2 children, what you say is I want to market to people who buy this sort of product. And what they then do is they use the algorithms to find products that are close to that sort of product, and they create an audience which is actually a much more relevant audience for the advertising than simply old-fashioned demographics. That's being worked up and developed with Carrefour. And then finally, and most excitingly, we have announced that we're working with Leclerc to produce a personalized flyer. Going back to that original chart about price list and mass promotions, every week, many retailers around the world produce a paper newspaper that has up to 1,000 offers in it that may or may not be relevant to you. Meat on the front cover, beer on the front cover, nappies on the front cover, pet food on the front cover, all of which you may not buy, or some of which you may not buy because you don't drink, you're a vegetarian, you haven't got any pets, you haven't got any babies. So what this does is it looks at the 1,000 or so things that are on offer, looks at the consumer and says the most relevant things to talk to this consumer about from those 1,000 things is these, and it reorders it and represents it in an attractive way. This, combined with the fact that there is increasing cost inefficiency from paper flyers and environmental pressure not to be creating newsprint, means that this has a significant opportunity as a global application driven by the retailer's loyalty data. And then finally, and some of you may have seen the FT conference yesterday, you move into the space that some of those CEOs were talking about, where actually you're personalizing more content and different content. At the moment, the bleeding edge of this is prices and promotions. But actually, as things develop, you'll want to personalize around preferences, cuisines, health, intolerances. There's a load of different things which you can personalize around, and that's how this will develop. So the future, I envisage, a big grocer will have something that looks like an Insta feed, and it will have pulled from their total offering the things that are most relevant for you. Some of which are designed for you and picked for you by the algorithms, and others which they're doing for everybody, but they're highlighting them to you because you're relevant. So I see this as being a very rich and long road of development. We've got some nice logos involved already, and our process at the moment is getting more people involved in this beta development as we take them through to full stream products. Just a little bit about the history of one particular client. Leclerc, as you may know, is the largest grocer in France and is a remarkable business. They deployed challenges in 2020. In 2021, they rolled it out to 2.5 million customers. In 2023, they really upweighted their CPG funding, their brand investing in the process. That actually made it a profit center. So not only were they driving promotions and satisfying customers, they were actually making money out of offering this service to the brands. They renewed the contract at twice the 21 value. In 2024, we've deepened that further with the flyer I've talked about, and they've re-signed their contract for an extended period at a higher level. And so you can see the win and deepen capability that we've talked to you about in the EagleAI Air business is also open and available to the EagleAI business. And we will continue to work and develop opportunities with Leclerc as a key client of EagleAI around the world. We've made some people changes to help us on this journey. Cedric Giroux and Ziad Jamousi, who are the two founders of Untie Knots, have been invited to join the EagleAI Executive Committee. I think that's testimony, A, to the importance of their business, and B, to the value we can see they can create for the group. Kate Ratcliffe has become head of product, and in the same way as we now run marketing and sales, has a group role across both EagleAI and EagleAI for product. At the moment, we have 8 products and leading on product management and product development. Kate is one of our star executives. And then finally, Matt Smallpage has been in the business for probably a couple of years now. He's our lead on partnerships, and he's been elevated onto the senior leadership team because of the importance of partnerships in the business. So in the background, we're restructuring and redeveloping and are highlighting our best people and bringing them through to equip us for this journey going forward. We're similarly using new technologies. We've bought an AI-based technology called Glean, which is able to look across the 4.8 million documents that EagleAI has in its various systems and enables a search and recovery of those documents, but also generative AI interaction with those documents. And I think what that's doing is it's taking some of the toil out of the work and enabling our staff to do higher quality work and giving them more productivity. And I think that makes work better, makes it more fun. And then finally, we continue to track our progress through NPS, which we keep doing. And just at the moment, the Best Companies survey is underway. I think last time we were 3rd best technology company to work for, 7th best medium-sized company in the country to work for. And we keep pushing in that area because we absolutely believe that the best company to work for is the best company to work with. So that's what we've been working on and what we're pushing at going forward. Our next milestone, as we've said, is 100 million. And I think that, if you look at the organic plans we talked about, the innovation and penetrating markets we're already in, you can see that will get us to 100 million. But in addition to that, I think we've got non-grocery opportunities, we've got partnership opportunities, which could be very, very significant, I think. And potentially M&A are drivers that can take us more rapidly to the 100 million and significantly beyond it. So I think we feel positive about how things are going into the future. The market is very strong. Our reputation is leading. Our pipeline is twice the size it was. And EagleAI is growing fast and proving to be a source of very relevant product development opportunities. So we're confident about the future.